A new reality is emerging on the world's battlefields. Chinese weapons are everywhere. From Ukraine's trenches to the Middle East's deserts, Chinese arms are now a common sight. This is no accident. It's a deliberate strategy by Beijing. China has transformed from the world's factory into a global arsenal, arming both nations and non-state actors. In Ukraine, Chinese components are found in Russian drones. In the Middle East, Houthi rebels use Chinese tech to attack ships. Pakistan's military is now built on Chinese hardware. Over 44 countries now buy Chinese arms, marking a dramatic shift in the global arms market. For decades, the US and Russia dominated this market. Now China is a top-tier supplier, offering everything from drones to advanced air defense systems. These sales aren't just about profit, they're about influence. Every arms deal comes with political strings, helping China build alliances and challenge US dominance. For sanctioned or isolated nations, China is the supplier of choice. This strategy expands China's geopolitical reach, one arms deal at a time. Chinese weapons are no longer just cheap knockoffs, they're increasingly advanced and competitive with Western tech. This has serious implications: regional arms races, empowered rogue states, and deadlier conflicts. The world is facing a new challenge. The era of Chinese weapons is here. The impact is only beginning to be felt. China's quiet rise as a global arms supplier is reshaping modern warfare. The balance of global power is shifting, one Chinese weapon at a time. Russia's war in Ukraine is powered by more than just Russian industry. It's fueled by China. Despite claims of neutrality, Beijing is Russia's most critical military lifeline. Ukrainian intelligence says 80% of key electronics in Russian drones are Chinese. This isn't passive support, it's decisive. In 2025, President Zelensky publicly accused China of directly supplying Russia with gunpowder and artillery. Ukrainian forces have found Chinese components in Russian gear, and even captured Chinese nationals fighting for Russia. China's support goes beyond parts. It provides technology, industrial machinery, and microchips for missiles. Without China, Russia's defense industry would struggle under Western sanctions. China has created a massive loophole, letting Moscow bypass restrictions and continue its assault. This partnership was cemented during Xi Jinping's 2025 Moscow visit, aligning China and Russia against the West. NATO now labels China a decisive enabler of Russia's war. Beijing's support ensures Russia remains a potent threat. For Ukrainians, the consequences are deadly. Chinese technology powers the drones and missiles that strike their cities. China is not just a supplier, it's a direct enabler of conflict. The shadow of the Chinese dragon looms over Ukraine's war. Beijing claims to be a champion of peace, insisting it doesn't sell lethal weapons to any side in Ukraine. Official statements call for dialogue and deny direct military support. But the reality on the ground is starkly different. Since the invasion, China's exports of dual-use goods to Russia, like drone engines, optics, and microelectronics, have soared. These are the building blocks of modern warfare, disguised as civilian products. By labeling them dual-use, China maintains plausible deniability while fueling Russia's war machine. This double game lets Beijing support Moscow without facing full Western sanctions. China's strategy: weaken the US and its allies by prolonging the war, while maintaining a responsible global image. In public, China talks peace. In practice, it ships war materials to Russia. The West is no longer buying China's narrative. NATO's declaration and mounting evidence expose Beijing's role. Chinese technology is killing Ukrainians every day. The gap between China's words and actions is now impossible to ignore. The official story of neutrality has crumbled under the facts. In the Middle East, China is fueling conflict by arming Iran and its proxies. Isolated from Western arms markets, Iran relies on China to modernize its military and support groups like the Houthis. US intelligence confirms Houthi rebels use Chinese weapons to attack shipping in the Red Sea. This proxy chain, China to Iran, Iran to Houthis, lets Beijing influence the region while maintaining deniability. The Houthis reportedly avoid targeting Chinese vessels, protecting Beijing's interests. Chinese arms have also surfaced among Hamas fighters, often via Iran. This flow of weapons escalates tensions and makes peace harder to achieve. For China, a chaotic Middle East is a strategic asset. It distracts the US, drives up oil prices, and secures China's shipping lanes. By arming Iran and its proxies, China keeps rivals off balance and advances its own interests. The result: more instability, more violence, and a region shaped by Chinese strategy. China's weapons are tools of influence, not just instruments of war. The Middle East's chaos is part of Beijing's long game. Nowhere is China's arms strategy clearer than in Pakistan. Pakistan is China's top military customer, accounting for over 60% of Chinese arms exports. This partnership is about more than business. It's about shifting the balance of power in South Asia. China has modernized Pakistan's military with fighter jets, frigates, tanks, missiles, and drones. This dependence gives Beijing leverage over Islamabad's defense and foreign policy. The goal: counter India, their shared rival, and force New Delhi to divide its military focus. The China-Pakistan economic corridor deepens this alliance, tying security to economic interests. The result is an arms race, raising the risk of conflict between two nuclear neighbors. For Pakistan, reliance on China means access to modern tech, but less strategic autonomy. China uses arms sales to build alliances, project power, and challenge regional adversaries. The China-Pakistan military bond is a blueprint for Beijing's global ambitions. China's arms sales aren't just about profit, they're a pillar of its global strategy. Every deal builds influence, forges alliances, and challenges U.S. dominance. Selling weapons creates long-term dependencies, training, maintenance, and upgrades lock buyers into Beijing's orbit. China offers arms to countries shunned by the West, undermining American influence and creating new blocs. By arming Russia and Iran's proxies, China bogs down the U.S. in conflicts and drains its resources. Arms sales also secure China's access to vital resources and protect overseas investments. Deals like the Houthis' promise to spare Chinese ships show Beijing's pragmatic, ruthless approach. For China, weapons are tools of statecraft, reshaping the world order in its favor. The arms trade is a means to global power, not just a business. Beijing's strategy is clear: build a new world order, one weapon sale at a time. The West is waking up to the threat posed by China's global arms surge. US and European leaders now see China's military rise as a direct challenge to their interests and the post-Cold War order. The US has imposed sanctions on Chinese firms aiding Russia and warned Beijing of consequences. NATO has officially labeled China a decisive enabler of Russia's war, linking Beijing to Europe's biggest security crisis in decades. Western leaders worry that China's tech is making Russian weapons deadlier and prolonging the conflict. The China-Russia partnership is seen as a new authoritarian axis threatening democracies. Regional powers like India are alarmed by China's support for Pakistan. While East Asian nations strengthen ties with the US, the world is entering a new era. China is no longer just an economic power, but a military one reshaping global alliances. The spread of Chinese arms is forcing countries to rethink their security strategies. The alarm is growing, and so is the response. The global balance of power is shifting, fast. The age of Chinese weapons is here. Chinese weapons are now a defining feature of modern conflict, from Ukraine to the Middle East and South Asia. This isn't just a trend, it's a fundamental shift in global security. Advanced, affordable Chinese arms are fueling regional arms races and making wars deadlier. The US and its allies can no longer control who gets the best weapons. China is breaking that monopoly. A divided world is emerging, a US-led bloc and a China-Russia bloc, both armed and ready. This new Cold War is fought with real weapons on real battlefields. China is using its factories to forge a new world order, where its influence grows and America's wanes. The proliferation of Chinese arms is a patient, long-term strategy to reshape the world. The future holds more uncertainty, more conflict, and a new global power unafraid to use its arsenal. The era of Chinese weapons is just beginning. Its impact will be felt for generations.